Your ability to concentrate is atrophying. Every year, every scroll, every half-finished task trains your mind to scatter its energy across a dozen directions at once. And the cost is staggering, because concentration, according to one of the most suppressed personal development books of the 20th century, is the single mechanism that turns invisible thought into physical reality. By the end of this, you'll understand why that claim is less mystical than it sounds. Charles Haanel published the Master Key System in 1912 as a 24-week correspondence course. Each week built on the last, each lesson required daily practice. The book was structured like a training manual for the mind, and at its center sat one idea that Haanel returned to obsessively. Concentration is the engine of all creation. Every bridge, every business, every relationship that ever existed began as a sustained mental image in someone's mind. The bridge didn't appear because someone briefly thought about crossing a river. It appeared because an engineer held that image steady long enough to work out the angles, source the materials, and direct the labor. The thought preceded the thing, always. That sequence feels obvious when you're talking about engineering. Where Haanel pushed further, and where most readers either lean in or check out, is in his claim that the same mechanism operates at every scale of human experience. Your health, your wealth, your emotional life, all of it, he argued, is downstream of what you concentrate on with consistency. Here's where it gets precise. Haanel distinguished between passive thinking and active concentration. Passive thinking is what you do all day. Worries looping, fantasies flickering, mental noise running like a television in an empty room. Active concentration is something else entirely. It's the deliberate, sustained focusing of attention on a single idea until that idea begins to organize your behavior, your perception, and eventually your circumstances around itself. Think about the last time you decided to buy a specific car. Suddenly, that model appeared everywhere. Same roads, same traffic. Your environment didn't change. Your concentration did. Your mind began filtering reality through the lens of that single idea, and everything aligned with it became visible. Haanel would say that's a small-scale demonstration of a universal principle. The mind doesn't just observe reality. It selects which version of reality you inhabit. But selection is the easy part. Sustaining focus long enough for the external world to reorganize, that's where almost everyone fails. Haanel prescribed a practice that sounds deceptively simple. Sit still. Choose a single object or idea. Hold your attention on it without wavering for 15 minutes. Try it tonight and you'll discover something humbling. Your mind will revolt within seconds. It will itch, wander, fabricate urgencies, do anything to escape the discipline of single-pointed focus. That revolt is the most important data you'll collect about yourself this year. It shows you exactly how untrained your primary creative instrument actually is. A scattered mind creates a scattered life. Haanel was blunt about this. If you can't hold a thought for 15 minutes in a quiet room, how can you hold a vision for the months or years it takes to materialize something meaningful? The gap between your current reality and the one you want is measured in minutes of sustained concentration. Every minute you hold the image, you're strengthening the signal. Every time you drop it to check your phone, you're resetting the counter. Now, a skeptic would push back here. Sitting and thinking about money doesn't make money appear. Fair. And Haanel would agree, if that's all you did. His framework was more sophisticated than passive daydreaming dressed up in spiritual language. Concentration, in his system, works through a chain. First, sustained focus clarifies the desire. Clarity generates conviction. Conviction reorganizes perception. Reorganizes perception reveals opportunities that were always present, but invisible to the scattered mind. An opportunity met with action produces results that look, from the outside, like luck. The chain has 5 links. Remove any one and the whole thing collapses. This is why affirmations alone fall flat for so many people. Repeating "I am wealthy" while your concentration drifts to bills and anxiety is like pressing the gas and brake simultaneously. The words point one direction. The sustained focus of your mind points another. Haanel would say the mind doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you concentrate on. The dominant mental image wins, every time. So the real discipline, the part most teachers gloss over, is learning to control the dominant image. Haanel called this the master key. The ability to choose your mental focus and hold it against every competing impulse, every fear, every piece of contradictory evidence from your current circumstances. Your bank account says one thing. Your sustained inner image says another. The question is which one you'll concentrate on long enough to let it become the blueprint. There's a passage in week 5 of the course where Haanel compares the mind to a lens focusing sunlight. Diffused light warms a surface mildly. The same light concentrated through a lens ignites fire. Same energy. The only variable is focus. Your mental energy works identically. Spread across 40 worries, it produces a vague sense of anxiety and a life that feels like treading water. Gathered into a single beam and held on one clear outcome, it burns through obstacles you assumed were permanent. That burning takes time though, and patience is where the teaching gets uncomfortable. Haanel structured his course across 24 weeks for a reason. He understood that concentration is a muscle. You wouldn't walk into a gym for the first time and attempt to deadlift 300 pounds, yet people attempt the mental equivalent daily, trying to hold a vision of radical life change while their concentration muscle has been atrophied by years of distraction. The gap between intention and capacity creates frustration, which most people interpret as evidence that mental focus doesn't work. The method didn't fail. The training was skipped. Week 1 of the course asks you to sit perfectly still for 15 minutes. That's it. Just stillness. Control the body first. Week 2 adds the task of inhibiting all involuntary muscular movement. Week 3 introduces deliberate mental focus. Each week layers on the previous skill. By week 12, you're holding complex mental images with stability and clarity. By week 2004, Haanel claims, concentration becomes as natural as breathing and equally powerful. You've seen this principle operate in people who achieve extraordinary things. Watch any world-class athlete in the moments before performance. Their eyes go somewhere else. The crowd dissolves. The moment contracts to a single point of focus so intense that time itself seems to bend around it. That concentration was built through thousands of hours of practice, and it creates results that look superhuman from the outside. The mechanism is identical to what Haanel described. The scale differs. The principle holds. Here's the tension most people avoid sitting with. If concentration truly shakes reality, if the dominant mental image eventually prints itself into your circumstances, then you're already using this power, constantly. The anxious mind concentrating on worst-case scenarios is using the same mechanism as the visionary concentrating on a breakthrough. The lens focuses in both directions. You don't get to opt out of the system, you only get to choose what you aim it at. That choice is the entire teaching. Everything else in the Master Key system is scaffolding around that one radical responsibility. Haanel wrote something in week 3 that most readers pass over too quickly. He said that the mind is static electricity, useless until concentrated and directed, at which point it becomes a dynamic force capable of producing visible results in the physical world. Static electricity sits on every surface. You feel it when you touch a doorknob in winter. A tiny shock, gone instantly. But channel that same electrical potential through a focused current, and you can power a city. Your thoughts carry the same latent energy. Scattered, they produce small shocks of emotion that fade within seconds. Concentrated, they reorganize matter. The practice Haanel prescribed costs nothing. It requires no equipment, no teacher, no special location. 15 minutes, a quiet room, one idea held with everything you have. Start tonight. Your mind will fight you. It will produce every distraction it can manufacture. Sudden itches, forgotten tasks, brilliant ideas about anything other than the object of your focus. Each of those distractions is a test. Pass enough of them, and the mind stops testing. It starts obeying. And when a mind obeys its owner rather than its impulses, the distance between what you imagine and what you experience begins to collapse. Week by week, image by image, one sustained thought at a time. The lens is already in your hand. It's been in your hand since before you could speak. The only question worth concentrating on is this. What will you aim it at when you sit down tonight, close your eyes, and finally hold still?